live? No, we're not. Yes, we are. We're live. I was counting it down to Ron, laughing and joking. Hello, Myrna. Hello, Janet. Hello, Ron. Hello, Mac. You know, guys, we decided to go live early. I really decided for two reasons. Number one, the Bears play tonight. And we want some time that we can just sit there, watch a football game, discuss a football game, and just relax. I didn't want to be doing the show tonight like this. So I decided Ron decided, Beth, that we were going to do the 2:30 afternoon. And the whole thing about doing the shows here, guys, is we're going to be up there. You can watch it whenever. If someone comes in at 7 o'clock for the normal show, they can just click on it. They see it. They're there. They just miss getting to chat with you guys. And I also did it because the Hat was supposed to speak at noon, which, once again, he's late. And I'm going to talk about good about him, and I'm going to talk about bad about him today. Because, I figure he's a man like me, and we put our pants on one leg at a time. We pull them up over our rear ends, and we button them. And he's no different than anybody else. But what this man needs to start doing is giving a little respect to the people that put him where he's at today. He didn't do this. He didn't get there because people thought he was handsome, ruggedly amazing, and this and that. He got there. 17 now. He got there. 21. He got there because the people believed in him, loved him, and voted him in. But now all of a sudden, and I'm going to discuss something what I seen, and I didn't see a whole lot of it today. I started trying to watch him at 10:30 this morning, 11 o'clock, and it was always, I'm late. And you know what? I have 5 grandchildren. I have 2 children. I have family. I have friends. And when I'm supposed to be someplace, I can live with someone or myself being 5 minutes late, 6 minutes late, but constantly. And then he shows up casual, which makes me think he was just out hitting a golf ball. I'm not going to sit around my whole freaking life waiting for this man to come on and speak. And I believe me, guys, I'm going to build him up today. Right now, you may think, oh, Ralph's mad. No, I'm not mad. I was expecting this because it's the same thing over and over and over. I was really surprised when he won this past year. I was really surprised when he was on time to accept it. I figured he'd be out playing golf. and it is what it is. And guys, another thing I'd like to talk about real quick before I say the pledge. Before we go any further, there's 2 things I want to discuss. And the first one is bow your head, please. Dear Lord, as we come to you today, earlier than normal, but at a time that sadness is creeping upon Patriot 5 and Patriot 6 family. We have someone in a family that we love very much named Michael. And Michael is being taken to a home because he can't take care of himself. Michael is going through some very, very rough times. Some very, very rough times, Lord, that should be not going through because of the technology we have today. It should have been taken care of. But we're just praying for you, Lord. We're praying for you and your son, Jesus Christ, that you will look over him, put an angel over his head, keep his spirits high, and let him know that his family, his Patriot 5, Patriot 6, and family is thinking about him, praying for him and loving him. And Lord, we come to you today to ask you, please just take care of Michael as you take care of everyone else. Not only the people, Lord, but our animals that we love so much. And we ask you to look over Michael today. In Jesus Christ's name, your son, my Savior. Amen and amen. Michael, we wish you the speedy recovery. We hope that you can keep your spirits up, keep your heart where it needs to be, and know that we're thinking about you, Michael. I don't know if you're going to be able to get on shows anymore, if what's going to happen. But Ron sent you the message that we're going on. But if you're here, Michael, know that we love you. We're going to miss you if you can't get on the calls that we have sometimes when the girls decide they need to see my handsome, ruggedly face and seeing you, talk to them and that. And we have great times together. And many, many more great times are coming, Michael. And, this is a hard thing for me to do because when it's part of my family, I get very emotional. And Michael, you should not be in this situation, but you are. But we got to keep the best of it. We got to keep the love and the spirits high. And we know these beautiful beds are going to come. These beautiful beds are going to come, Michael, and everything is going to be okay for you. You know, we will keep praying for you until you're fine. And then one day, Michael, we're going to have a lot of fun together. You know, whether you drank or not when you was younger, when this happens and we all celebrate, and now all the celebrations are going, we're gonna boogaloo, we're gonna get a band going, and we're gonna dance, and we're gonna have fun, and we're gonna drink, but we're not gonna drink too much. We're gonna party hardy, but keep it safe. So our prayers are with you. Know that we'll pray for you every day. We just wanted to let you know that we're here for you, my friend. So we had some new people come on: Golden Arrow, Papa G, Tony. I thought I seen someone else come on. Soretta. So Soretta's on. What's wrong? I tried to get to everybody. I didn't expect many people today because of the thing, but I do want to say the pledge, and I do want to play the music and talk to the kids briefly because I got a lot to talk about. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, oh, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, oh, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd rather stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless this country. And I'm proud to be an American. At least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land.
Right? Proud to be an American. God bless USA. And as you can see, everyone, I have my red on today. I have my red on, and I've had so many people ask me, Why do you wear red all the time? Well, I wear red because I'm a patriot. Why do you wear red every Friday? Well, I wear red every Friday. And I think that everybody on this show, I think everybody, and I did a video today on TikTok. I've sent it over to the Telegram site, and I'll send it other places later. But I did a video of these 10-minute videos, and in doing so, the one I did today, I explained why I wear red. I explained that it promotes and helps. It helps show support for the troops. And I told them about, in the video, I talked about certain things. And, I left TikTok for a while because I was getting swamped with terrible, terrible messages with fake people. And I will be honest with you, everyone. Elaine, good to see you here. TikTok is a good place to show things. It's a good place to get information out. It's a good place for me to do little videos that I can share with everyone. And since I've been doing these small videos, have you noticed a difference in me? I'm more like the person, the Ralph. I wasn't worried about being Patriot 5. I was just Ralph when I started the videos. Yes, I went by the name Patriot 5, but Ron was with us, and he was with me as my brother, but he wasn't Patriot. He wasn't Patriot 6 yet. That came later. But when I first started on March 5th, 5 years ago, doing these shows, I started doing these shows, and it was something that when I did, I enjoyed because I was recording them. It wasn't until a year and a half later that I started doing live shows. But when I started doing live shows, I started doing these on March 5th, 5 years ago, 2020. And doing so, I just wanted to touch a few people. I've told this story several times. I talked to God, if I can touch one person, then it's a success. And I think I've touched more. Here's Missouri Girl on, welcome Missouri Girl. And it's not about the numbers. And everybody who knows me knows it's not about money. I've never taken money, and I'm going to talk about money in the show in a little bit, but I wanted to talk to the kids. But I want to play something. I want you to listen to it. And the picture that I put up to get this little video done, little audio video, is a picture of Julia, the girl that I write. And I've had people, since I did this, they've said, she's too young for you. Well, this is an older picture. She's older now. But see, it doesn't matter what people think to me. In my mind, she's not, and in her mind, she's not. But here's what she had to say. Here, let me start it over. Here's what this has to say.
That we are the last generation on Earth that knows what life was like before social media. Back then, moments were just moments. Simple, fleeting, and hours alone. We lived them without worrying about angles or likes. The conversation wasn't about notifications. It was about voices, laughter, and silences that didn't feel awkward. There was something raw about that world, a beauty and its imperfection. If you got lost, you asked a stranger for directions, not a screen. If you wanted connection, you knocked on a friend's door. Instead of sending a quick message that could be read and ignored. Now, everything feels different. The world is louder, but somehow lonelier. We scroll endlessly, looking for meaning. But do we even notice the things we're passing by? Memories don't feel as real. When you're too busy capturing them to actually live them, I sometimes wonder what we've traded away, and what will be left for the ones who come after us, who will never know that it meant to just be untouched by the weight of this constant digital presence. Do you realize it too? That we're the last ones who knew how to live, before we started performing our lives for everyone else.
I wanted to play that because I'm getting ready to go into the kids section, and I see I see that John came on and someone else, I thought. Beth Shaw's on. But anyway, I wanted to play this for the kids because the generation that I'm in, that a lot of the people that's over here chatting is in, a lot of people who's watching it. And I'm really amazed we have 50 people watching right now for such a short notice. And that goes to show how much of a family we are. And I'm going to ask everybody, please pray for Michael, please. I see Elaine is coming on. Elaine, I see you want to get added to Signal, our Signal group, I believe it was. I have no way to add you unless I have some information. So if you can pass that on to John or email me, send me a message, I can get everything put in for you and get you invited over there. But for the children, if you listen to what I just played there, as I said, I wanted to show you a picture of Julia. That's one of my favorite ones. I got more, but and you'll see more and more. But what this is allowing me to do is put these little videos up there, kids. But if you listen to what this man said, he's talked about we're the last generation that will probably ever be like this. When he made the statement, you know, of certain things. And one of the things, you know, when we were a kid, we didn't have car seats. Heck, we didn't even buckle up. We sat right next to Mom. We didn't have to call shotgun. She told us who could sit in the front seat. Normally it was Dad. But if it was just me and Ron and Russ going with Mom, maybe one of us got to sit shotgun. But it was an honor. It was just that someone needed to sit there. Now kids today, they fight. They cry. Oh my God, I don't get to sit shotgun. But she got to sit shotgun all day long. Oh my God. Bam. And that's what they need. Bam, right on that rear where they sit. And children, kids, I'm not vicious. I'm not trying to get you a spanking. But we went through this. See my arm? Imagine that's my mom's arm. That was our seatbelt. If she hit the brakes, my mom would automatically take her arm like that and put over across us because my mom knew she had superpowers and we weren't going to go through a windshield. We would drive in a car of 6. We would have 8 in because people would sit on other people's laps, as Ron was just saying. But, you know, we didn't have as many accidents back there because the cars weren't as fast. And I can remember, hey, we're lost. And I can remember one thing. That this is even when I was a little older. And me and Ron was going to go to my daughter's volleyball game. It's the only volleyball match I ever missed in my life. Only sports event I ever missed in my life. Anything that my daughter, anything that my daughter kids had to do, I was there. I missed one thing of my son and one thing for my daughter. I even showed up late for my son. But my daughter, I go into this town and it's not a good town, if you know what I mean. It was a town that is all black. And I have nothing against that. When I was born and taken home from the hospital, we lived in pretty much an all-black neighborhood. The color of someone's skin has never mattered to me, kids, and it should never matter to anybody. A person is a person. What's in their heart is what matters. And we drive in there, and I want you to imagine Andy of Mayberry, Andy Griffith's show. And I want you to imagine Goober and Gomer, their gas station, because we pulled up to a gas station similar to that. And there was 5 guys come out. 5 guys come out. And they're all black. And we said, sir, could you help us? We're trying to find a school. My daughter's playing volleyball there. And they said, yeah, you go down here and you turn there, and then you go 2 blocks and you turn again. And when we did what we did, after we're driving for a little bit, we realized we're in the middle of a sand road, sand, not brick, not anything like that, concrete. We was in the middle of a sand road with corn on both sides, and all of a sudden we see there's a dead end up there. And I was starting to get just a little bit scared. So I stopped. I turned around. I said to Ron, we're getting the heck out of here. I said something else, but this is a kid's version of the show, so I'm going to be very nice. And I said, we're getting out of here. I thought we were getting set up. I could see us getting down to the dead end, and it might have been a dead end. You know what I mean? So we got out of there and we left, and we got out of that town. I didn't go to my daughter's game. And what you know, the team that they played, that my daughter played, they were pathetic. And the kids, they just don't have the teachers at that school that we had at our school. They don't have the coaching. They don't have the facilities. And my daughter, she was starting off as a server. And she did. And the score ended up 21-0. My daughter served 21 straight points. You talk about a girl that might have got a little bit of a big head. You would think she would just be, oh, nobody can stop me. The coach was so impressed from the other team. She come over and said, please, would you have someone else start the next game serving? Don't let that little girl serve. We can't handle it. So they did. But that's back when you got along. The kids from the other team all congratulated my daughter, how good she was, how this and how that. But that's the only game I missed when my daughter scored 21 straight points. They won the match, the best 2 out of 3 in 2. They was out of there in probably a half an hour, if not less. But it's just the situation. I look back at that, and even that day when me and Ron, now, kids, you don't do this anymore because you never drink and drive. But back then I was stupid. One of our ways to get through it, me and Ron went through the little town closer to there that wasn't that particular town, but a nicer town. We went and we got some beverages to drink on the way home. Now, you can tell yourself if you want to believe, we stopped and we got ourselves some sodas. Okay, but they were sodas that made us feel a little bit better, calmed our nerves just a little bit, because we could have been out there and this video would have never ever taken place. But what I'm saying, we lived in a different era. We didn't get mad what they did. We've laughed about it. We've told jokes about it for so many years. But that's how it was. We stopped. Even in a place like that, we stopped to ask for directions. Nowadays, you'd get this out. It even goes further. I'm sitting with my son the other day. I'm sitting in a passenger seat, and he's driving, and we're driving along. And I said, well, what about are we going in? And he said, well, I got to get directions. And I said, what do you mean? You don't have the directions already? He said, no. And he just starts talking to his radio phone, whatever he's got hooked up. And all of a sudden it says, you will go this way, X amount of distance, and you will turn right for X amount of distance. Then you will stop at a stop sign to make sure you stay in. They're giving you the directions like that. What the heck? What is wrong with our country? And that's what's wrong. We got lazy. By getting lazy, we got fat. By getting fat, we got stupid. And I'm not saying you kids are going to do it, but you have the kids that I'm talking to, Jimmy, Patriot 11, Karate Kid, and Wyatt Earp, the Princes, our queen, and Hunter, her brother, Boogs, Boogaloo, Boogie, and Booger, or the 4Bs, whatever. And I know I mess them up. And John, I'm sorry. Leona and Leilon, Super Jim. I think I mentioned Super Jimmy. Ella, Patriot Super Gymnast, Liam, Patriot 7, Patriot Small, Hank, Patriot Little Monkey, and Patriot Kira. All of you kids, you have time to change it. We are trying. As I sit here and I look and I see Janet and Myrna, as I see Paula, good to see you here, Paula, Papa G. I've talked to a lot of these people personally. Ron's sitting over here. We're doing this for you kids. We're doing this. We're trying to open your eyes. It's not about just, this is a true story. I walk into the house the other day. My TV's on. I look at my grandson. He's got his cell phone right there, looking at something on his cell phone while he's got his tablet. And he's watching stuff on that. I says, you only got 2 eyes. You can't do all of it. What are you doing? And as I was talking, Hey, Eugene, as I'm talking today to my son about friendships for my grandson and things like that. And he said, well, he's a kind of kid, Dad, that if you just let him have his toys or you let him have this. Oh, yeah, he was also playing with Legos at the same time that he was at all this other. And I said, but that's not right. We have to get them moving, Brandon. We come on here, kids. I come on here. Janet and Myrna and John and Papa G and Ron and all of us, we come on here, not just for us, not just so they can chat in a chat group, but to help you kids. And that's what we need to do. And now this video today, I have no legal rights to the music I played. It's for entertainment purposes only. This video is not meant for children, but we know we have children on there, so we keep it clean. When I first started, and you can ask people like Ron and Myrna, people who's been with us from the very beginning, I used to have a tendency that I had a filthy mouth. And I decided when the kids started to listen, I decided to change. Plus the fact that my youngest granddaughter was born just 4 months after, or 3 months after I started these shows. And I knew that Ella and Liam on occasions would watch. And I wanted them to be proud of me, not proud of a man who thinks every other word, not the factory worker man who every other word had to be, a cuss word out of his mouth. When I worked in a factory, I came home the first night. My mom said, how was work? I said, Mom, them women in that factory, they talk. I don't understand them. They're using words that, what does this mean? And my mom looked at me like, you don't say that in this house. But why can they say, but you got used to it. And up there, I was just as mouthy and just as nasty as they were. If they're going to get that way to me, I'm going to talk that way to them. Because, see, they didn't want to be considered women up there. But, boy, when we left and maybe we went down to the little watering hole half a mile away, and we would maybe drink a couple of fruit juices, sit around, listen to some music, play the poker machines, and we just have a good time. You never heard that language. It was just in that factory. But we learned when we came out of that factory, all of them nasty words, they stayed in there. I can remember my son looked at me once and said, Dad, I don't think I've ever heard you cuss. Even when Mom gets mad at you and starts throwing stuff at you and hitting you and doing this and that, even when all that happens, I don't think I've ever heard you cuss. Because I don't cuss around my kids. Now, first time I ever heard my son and my daughter cuss, it broke my heart. We try to do the best we can, right, Bobo? Cynthia, I know you. How are you feeling, sweetie? Thanks for all the stuff you've been sending me. Cynthia Cole, I know her better as Cindy. I knew her when she was Cindy. But anyway, it is what it is. And I know today my talking to the kids was a little different than normal, but I wanted them to get the point. These videos that I'm making on TikTok now, it says if you just put pictures, then they put stuff to it because they want me to write at least 200 characters about who I am and what I'm doing. So they understand that I'm a patriot. So they put patriot things to that. But the one that I showed you just a little bit ago, and I don't get a lot of views. I'm averaging maybe 100 to 150 views on each one, but I put several up there. I did 10-minute videos now, 4 days in a row. Hello, Golden Arrow. Good to see you here. But Mark Burley's here with number 56. For all of you that don't know, Mark Burley should be a Hall of Fame pitcher for the Chicago White Sox, but they haven't put him there yet. But they did unveil a new statue for him. That's how good it was. Guys, I like to talk sports. I like to talk a lot of things, but I want to get to the nuts and bolts of today. And the nuts and bolts of today is our president. He had a special meeting today in the Oval Office. And I'm listening and hearing about this last night, that he's going to do this today in the Oval Office. They say a Friday meeting in the Oval Office of the White House is almost impossible. it's going to be very, very serious. And then all he wants to do, starting out, is talk about. I have not got to listen to the whole thing. I seen someone did post it. I started to listen to it. Go to about the 15.5-minute mark. If you ever get a chance to watch what's posted, go to there because yes, major arrests are, Janet, happening worldwide behind the scenes. That's all over TikTok everywhere. I love TikTok for the fact that
he said Chicago was his place.
he did say he's cleaned up, pretty much cleaned up Washington, D.C. He said it was terrible. It was a miserable place, but Chicago, Illinois is the next place. And he did talk about how wonderful not the mayor of Chicago is and how wonderful not the governor of Chicago is. Them are two of the sleaziest sleazeballs in the world. And I'm not saying it to be mean. They are. And okay, there's a saying out there, if you know, you know. You know, Tim Rice and me became friends on Facebook. He sent me a friend's request, and I already thought I was friends with Tim. And I waited almost 2 weeks before I replied. And then I went through my friends list one day. My friends list that I've really slimmed down because, you know, some of these people I've never talked to, I guess my handsome, ruggedly good looks, they wanted to be my friend, you know, thinking they'd get lucky with me or something. I don't know. You know, a man can dream, right? Right, Janet? I have the right to dream. What do you think, Papa G? I know Papa G is a dreamer. He's a tremendous guy. As the hat says, he's a tremendous guy, a really tremendous guy, a good guy, a really good guy. You know, do you love the way he talks? He says something, then he has to repeat it. 3 different ways of saying it. But we all know he's talking in code. And that's the one thing I did not get a chance to watch him today. Was I disappointed? Yes and no.
He didn't have no tie on today. I wonder what that
But
was.
Ron just brought something up. He didn't have no tie on today. I wonder what that's about. We're going to find out in a little bit. Because I got the answer. But I'm going to keep you on the edge of your seat. But remember, Donald Trump. I said, I'm sorry. You know what? I don't care. If they want to suspend me for a couple days because I mentioned the name of a man that I believe is going to be the person that makes America great again. But the hat, you don't do casual Fridays, not in the Oval Office. So what does that tell you, guys? Oh, from what I'm hearing, it says, from the people who like to take these things and run them down, it's kind of saying it's over. Maybe we won't get the information that it's over right now, but I think he's trying to tell us with that. And what I read, what someone sent me about it's over. And I want to read a little bit about his thing today. If I can get back there and find it. Oh, that's not where I want to go. I want to go here. I'm going to read the positive of what this. I belong to this site on Telegram. It's called capital A, 2Z, Dreams, but the Dreams is spelled with, instead of an S at the end, it's a Z. And I get a lot of good information. And this is what they had to say. If you think the hat had airtime just to talk about sports, you're not paying attention. He always layers his announcements. There's always more beneath the surface. He hasn't spoken directly in years without leaving it up to us to connect the dots. He's playing 5D chess. Here's what stood out beyond the sports talk. National Guard. He reiterated that the NG is active in D.C. and hinted they may soon be in other major cities. Well, he didn't hint. He came right out and said it. Tariffs and the RV, he brought tariffs back into the conversation. Key points, they can't pay tariffs at current currency values. That forces a value increase and moves us to gold-backed standard. Raids and call-outs. He pointed to house raids mentioned John Bolton and directly called out Powell. And the tie is off. The hat doesn't do casual Friday. He's signaling the job is done with a X mark in a box. For those awake, he's saying it without saying it. For those normies, he's easing them into what's next. Arrests have already been made, but it has to be played out publicly for everyone else. The more he emphasizes DC is clean, the smoother it all is to roll out. NG in other cities. For those saying we need big event before the RV, maybe that event is when we visibly see the National Guard active across cities. It's coming, hold steady. No one knows exact timing, but it's clear pieces are falling into place for this to go at any moment. And I really liked it. I read that twice already before I read there. And guys, you all know, if you know me, I don't like to read. I don't feel comfortable reading. But I think over the time I've gotten a little better. Hey, Betty Woods, good to see you here. Now that was their take on it. On our Telegram page, someone posted this. Okay, gas is still up. Yes, it's come down some, but not enough. Groceries are still high, still up. People are still losing their homes. People are still dying. Children are still going missing. HAARP is still messing with the weather. So, and it's a so with SO with about 9 or 10 O's after it. All the things he could have made an announcement on, but for some reason, he thought soccer was more important. Now, I read it the way I read it. The first one first, but the second one second. Because, see, I feel I have my eyes open. I feel I realize some of the things that's going on. But the fact is, some of the things he says, I watch to hear what he's saying. What I maybe need to start doing is when I watch him is watch how he's presenting it, how he's giving us clues, but not saying what the clues are. He can't come out and say, okay, everyone, Washington, D.C. is 100% clean. Look out, Chicago, we're coming for you next. Because if he does, that gives Chicago, the terrible, terrible few people, a chance to go and maybe change some things. It gives I don't know, I have no idea what to even call the man that they call the governor of this state. I really don't. I don't want to call him, because of his size, because as our president pointed out, he's lost a couple of pounds. From what I heard, he's lost a lot because he's been taking a pretty good sized nap, been napping in the morning, in the evening, and in the afternoon. He's napping all through the day, as long as until the day is through. He'll nap and nap forever. For this, I will smile, and know that he won't be back soon, or maybe never, ever in a while. And, that was a pretty good poem for just making it up. But anyway, it is what it is. He can't come out. And, Bobo and Janet, CA, good to see you here, CA. Russ, good to see you here, Russ. People, wouldn't you like him to just come out and tell us? Wouldn't you like to have a special channel where just patriots that want to know, patriots that's giving up their time like we are today and every day, 7 days a week. See, this patriot job is not a job like a factory worker or working in McDonald's. And McDonald's or Burger King or someplace like that. And I got to tell a story here in a minute, but I want to finish this. This is a 7 day a week job. There's sometimes I'm just getting ready to go to bed, 2:30 in the morning, my phone will bing. Ding! Hey, Ralph, When you get a chance, can you contact me? It's 2:30 in the morning. But a lot of times I will. What do you need? And what should be a simple question answered? Well, how's the kids? How's the grandkids? And we start talking because we're family. But what I want to joke about is I have a dear friend on here. I love you all. But Linda, without Linda, I don't take my medicine every day. And yes, Linda, if you're on or you watch this, I've taken my medicine. I'm a little behind on my steps. I only got about 14,000, but I promise I'll get my 20. Linda is just there for me. But Linda loves to go to Burger King to eat. And I get this little emoji video the other day. And what it is, it's this young man sitting there eating Burger King fries. He's sitting there eating Burger King fries. And there's this little Burger King or whatever sitting squatting and just keeps farting. And as he farts, he's farting out a Burger King fry. And they're taking them and putting them one at a time in this container. And his look on his face is kind of like, but things like that is hilarious. And I'm so happy. I like when I see these little emojis come to life, and it's the hat and it's Sleepy going toe to toe, well, who's going to win. And it's just so much fun. Guys, there's so much fun. There's so much happiness. And we're getting ready to embark upon a weekend. And to me, it's a tough weekend because, Lord and behold, the next weekend after this one is Labor Day weekend. Wow. Where did the summer go? We're actually starting to get some change in weather here. We actually are getting weather where we can live again. We had, just before we got this little cool spell, we had 3 days in a row. We had a heat index between 104 and 108 3 days in a row, with absolutely no wind at all. And even when you have a heat index of 106 to 108, it doesn't matter if you have heat, air. Air blowing outside. When you walk out, it literally takes your breath away. It really does. But here's Bruce's reading last night, and I'm gonna go read what they said about Bruce last night, because quite frankly, I tried to listen to it. Someone posted it. Someone posted it on our Telegram site. Boom, just like that, they posted it. And I tried to listen to it last night. When I left Ron's, I went home and I'm sitting in my rocking chair, just relaxing. And I'm sitting there and I said, let's listen to Bruce. It's only 15 minutes. And getting a play-by-play of Bruce from Mary Ann, I knew there wasn't a whole lot. It was another night. It was another night that Bruce could make some money selling Sue's products and Pop's products. As far as he goes, I didn't think it'd be much. But Ron was kind enough to look up the reading, so I'm going to read it to you guys. And then I'm going to discuss a couple things, because when it was posted on our Telegram page to listen to, Bruce was talking like, where are we at tonight? Let's see what's going on. And he was talking this really, really fast. But see, where I'm talking this fast, he was talking fast and sounded like a chipmunk. As I told Ron, he sounded like a chipmunk with diarrhea. And I'm not cutting Bruce down. It's just that sometimes things come through like that. But anyway, this is what I believe was Carpathia wrote about, because Carpathia has to do it now because Wolverine can't. Guys, please honor that Wolverine is in a time that he can't talk. He's under an NDA. His third, fourth, fifth, sixth, I don't know. Nobody else. Guys that really are important in this thing, they're not under NDAs. Mark Z's not. Now you tell me Wolverine would get on NDA,
Unless he was one of them guys that had bonds.
Ron says unless he's one of those guys that have bonds, but why ain't I under NDA? I have a lot of bonds. As a matter of fact, I'd be willing to bet I got more than he does. But I don't care. I get sick and tired. And I'm not cutting it. If there's anybody from Australia here, anybody from Australia watching this, I love that country. I really do. There's a couple girls down there, Julia and Carly. I think they're the greatest girls I've ever talked to. I really do. I love the country. But there's a couple people that are thinking they're bigger than they are. And you know who they are. But they're always under NDAs. They're always being taken away. You know what they want? They want to go out and spend the money that they're charging you guys and other people from all over. And I'm going to get to the money very shortly. But let's see what Carpathia said Bruce had to say. What they are doing on the peace agreement between Russia and the Ukraine, key events to sign on, which was Tuesday night. Now they are still doing things to get the funding ready for the ABC. Advances are the people like CMKX, F something P, adjudicated settlements and farm claims are under that category. B, bondholders, the next group. C, currency holders, us, tier 4A and B. What they are doing now are the trades give them opportunity to create funds between that and the St. Germain Trust funds that take these funds to purchase gold-backed instrument bonds to back up lines of credit to pay off the ABCs. Because of that, our intel that we had saying Wednesday and Thursday did not happen. It will take more time to set up those lines of credit. It is intricate. Bruce thinks that's why he is hearing it's projecting us to be notified to be started around the 29th or 30th of August. Now, I read to be set up and going the 29th or 30th of August. Guys, for all of those who are saying, here we go again, they're just, and I agree. But let's remember, that's only a week away. It's not like they're saying it's not going to happen until December, or there's some people out there that's very, very negative, says it's not going to happen until next year. But next year by what calendar? Bruce intel for tomorrow's show. What about September 1st? On September 1st, Labor Day, $150 trillion should be going out, and a redemption center leader believed this would be our tariff rebate payments. There is another term, a DOG dividend that comes from the collective tariffs. R&R will be in on our QFS accounts when we go to the exchange, but if you are not going to an exchange, you may get it direct deposited, but not sure how that would be worked out. This is Bruce's intel for tonight. Well, then Bruce also went on to explain why it's so important that you purchase this new $100 program for Sue. It's important because Sue will tell us all the reasons when we go, what we need to tell the people when we go to get on the special bids. Sue is going to sell us a program for $100 that is totally useless. And yes, Bruce, I wish you would watch this, and I wish you would call me, because I would call you out. Because I'm sick and tired of you going out there and constantly selling her products that are useless. They're totally useless. Our group has went and given away what you need to do, what you need to take to the redemption center when you go. Sue just keeps coming up with program after program after program. You knew last night you literally had nothing, but you had people stay on to listen to your bull crap. And I'm going to still talk because there's a lot of people like to hear it. There's a lot of people that don't like to hear it. But the fact remains, he spent more time last night after Bob finished. He talked for almost 8 minutes telling what Bob talked about. What, are you think we're stupid? We can't understand? I don't want none of Bob's products. I'm getting on a bed. Then Sue kept interrupting last night. I think she thought it was Sue in the big call. But everything revolves around them. He gives no information anymore. It's about money. And it's a shame because they have so much currency from what they tell me and what they tell all of us. But yet, Sue will give you 16 different ways what you need to do when you go to get on these special beds. Well, you know what? You go. You're having an appointment, you go. It's just like going to the doctor's office. Maybe Sue should come up with a program and she should sell 16 things you need to tell to the doctor when you go. You know, one of the things I'm going to have to tell them when I go is I need to make sure you take care of my hemorrhoids, because listening to you and being such a pain in my rear end, I'm starting to get them. But it is what it is. You know, as me and Ron was talking, me and Ron said, we had a long talk last night after the show and then this morning again before this show. And we had a long talk. When you go, both of us have degenerative heart failure. We want that taken care of. I'm going to make it plain and simple. I want you to put me on the bed. I want you to make me feel better. When you put me on the second bed, anything that's wrong with me, I want fixed. Hey, they say they can make you a little taller. I wouldn't mind being. It's not a lie, guys. The older you get, you do shrink. They say you don't, but you do. I'd like to go back to 5'9", maybe. I'd like to be the right weight for 5'9". I'd like to get hair back on my head again. You know, there's a lot of things, you know, and there's one thing I'm not going to mention because it's naughty. But, you know, you can get anything done. But that's what I'm going to tell them. There's a couple things that maybe you might not think about saying, but I'm going to say them just to make sure they're covered. But it's your body. John, when you go in, do you really care if Sue gives you a 16-point thing? What if you need 17 or 18 things done, John? Then you spend $100 for nothing. Elaine, the same way. What if you go in? What if you go in and there's something you really want done, but it's not on her 16 items? So you paid $100 for nothing? I'm sick and tired of people exploiting. I'm sick and tired of the hat letting people exploit. I'm sick and tired of going to a gas station and gas is up 30 cents more, but it's supposed to be coming down. You know, when I read that, gas is still high, but it's coming down. It'll come down. Please note, I live in Illinois with the worst governor ever there's ever been a governor in any state. And this man, I honestly swear, I heard this saying, but I believe it. I believe it to be true. This man is so bad. I believe he would try to sell the air that we breathe in the state of Illinois. He just went out and he just allotted our taxpayers' money. Our taxpayers' money he's allotted to give to these illegals that evidently our president has not got rid of yet. When someone asks me, do you think that illegals should go? Yes, I do. But they shouldn't be acted like they're terrible. Yes, they're criminals. They broke the law. But they broke the law to get a better life. But if you want a better life, come over and get a job. Settle in. Do everything right. You can go home and you can apply. You can come over. There are so many people from other countries over here that have started massive, tremendous businesses. And that's how you come over. I love reading or seeing articles about these people. And I'm going to mention some of them: Rosie O'Donnell, Oprah Winfrey, people like that. People like that, they go out there and they say things like, if he's still going to be the president, I can't stay here for 4 years. Well, then you're never coming back, because he's always going to be part. His legacy is always going to be part. And how we live is always going to be how he gets us to live. But, you know, do you want to live in a world that's great? Do you want to live in a world, in a country that's amazing, that's beautiful, that's love? That you don't have to fear for your life. That if you get lost, you can pull up and say, hey, can you tell me how to get here? And you don't have to worry about them pulling something on you. You don't have to worry about walking out of a store and walking in. And, you know, one of my favorite people on here, John, he made the statement that he thinks we should shut all Wally Worlds, you know what I'm talking about, down, and put all of the special bed centers in them, because they're so big we could put so many beds in there. That's something Bruce talked about last night. That's something, how many we have, how many thousands of beds we have, not only in the United States, but in around the world. That was something great. I smiled when I heard this. But I don't care about Sue's program. When Bruce does his program, do your program. Don't worry about Sue. And what you need to do is put your people first, Bruce. You need to start doing your part first and see how many people really care. How many people feel like me, or they just feel pressured to stay on and listen to Sue babbling, to Bob, always endless sales, selling products that we're not going to need, because they're going to be right there available for us when we do it. But we're all going to get healthy. And isn't that what it's about, Gary? Isn't that what it's about, John? Golden Arrow isn't being healthy. I was talking to Mary Ann last night, and in our talk, they're talking about the money, and then the beds. Why don't we get the beds? Because people could be getting healthy while then we could be going to the centers. Why can't they give us just something? Think of this. Now, this is something I want you guys to think about pretty heavily. They have the quantum money. Why don't they come out with that for us before we worry about the revaluation? Because let's say there's somebody that doesn't have any currency. They don't have any currency, but all of a sudden they get their quantum financial system money, and maybe it's $10, $15 million. Do you think they're going to pay attention to what Ralph Anderson, what Ron Anderson, what Janet, what John, what Gary? And John, I hope and pray that you get all your currency, but don't worry if you don't get it before you go. It's still going to be good. As long as you show them that you have it ordered, it's still going to be good. Because, see, the only that won't be good is if you pick some up afterwards. But what I'm understanding, there's going to be a day coming up very soon that they're going to say, nobody sells no more. So if you buy, you're buying from someone that's selling it not legal. I wouldn't do it. But I'm going to give 2 recommendations here. Just get everything in order. Have all your currency ready to go. Have everything numbered. And I got to go in and go over mine, because since I made my list of what everything I have, I bought 3 or 4 more currencies. So I got to get them written down. If you have proof, fine. I've been told that if you don't have proof, that's okay too. Because let's face it, some of the currency that I have, we've had for 8, 9, 10 years. You're going to lose things. No matter how careful you are, you're going to lose certain things. And that's where we're at. That's where we're striving for. So do that. Get everything ready. Get yourself all prepared. Remember, when you go into this redemption center, when you go into it, it's going to be you against them. But they're there for you, so don't worry about that. You're going to go in. You're going to look clean. You're going to have a nice outfit on. Me, in the summertime, I never wear anything but shorts. I'm not going in a pair of shorts that day. I'm going to have a nice pair of slacks, a nice pair of shoes, a nice shirt. I will not wear my hat. I'll comb my hair. I'll keep it out of my eyes. I'll make sure that I'm looking as good as I can look. And I'll go in and I'll give them a firm handshake, not a hard handshake, but a firm. I'll be very polite, very considerate, very kind. I have my presentations. I practice them. We've heard you got this much. You know what? It's a dress rehearsal. They want to know if you have projects. They want to know a little bit about it. So the first one is going to be, my first project is rebuilding my town. In rebuilding my town, I just want to go in. I want to talk to all the people. I want to have a large meeting in the middle of the park with a microphone, and I get up there and tell people what I want to accomplish, what I want to do, how I want to help them. Even though they're going to get their own quantum money and they may have it by then. Don't worry about it. If your house needs repaired, if you want your house torn down and a new one put up, we're going to do it. We want to make it. We're going to put stores in. We're going to reopen our sportsman's club. We're going to stock our fishing pond. We're going to open up our camping area. I want to make it to where people, they want to camp. Who knows? I want to make it where maybe Myrna and some of her friends might come to Buckingham someday and camp for a week or 2, because we'll have campers there if you don't have your own. I want to set up in that place. Just make it. I want to put a screen up where we can have drive-in movies, where people can come sit in their chairs and watch movies. I want to have a stage put up where we can run concerts. And like I said, put other businesses in there and make it a growing community, a community that's going to strive off of each other. It's going to create jobs. And it's not going to take me long to say the other projects, I want to work with animals. I want to make sure every animal is taken off the street, but taken care of, not put down. When they get taken into a place, they don't have a certain time, or they get, put to sleep. No, them days are going to end. I want to make sure every child has a home. I'm going to do everything I can to make every child have a mom and dad, a dad and dad, a mom and a mom, or a mom. I don't care. I just want them, when they get up in the morning, know they're going to have breakfast. Two other ones is I want to work with the beds by donating money, but also to work with them to have them show me how I build a center. I want to build a center right here in our town where we have 2 or 3 beds where people can go in and every so often, after you're fixed, every 6 months you go in for just a checkup. And I want to do it in all the little towns and all the big towns that I can. Now, they say you have about 3 to 4 minutes for each presentation. I just told you 4 that I want. I want to work with the elderly. There's so many things. And, I know as I'm sitting here, and you guys are watching, there's other projects we've talked to, and I'm hoping that people want to work with me in their cities, because I want, actually my number 1 is the kids and my number 2 is the animals. But I have listed number 1 is rebuilding our town. We're going to do so. There's where we're at, guys. And I mean, I talked a lot today. I said a lot, but I said it in all honesty. Yes, we came on early, and to have 66 people on here right now, and I don't know how many we'll have watch it over the thing. But I'm going to ask you this, is since I went back to TikTok, I've been doing these videos. And now I understand that if I go and put pictures up, they will actually put stuff to it. And that's what I played today. That's them doing it, not me. But since they know I'm a patriot, they're putting stuff up there, patriot stuff, and opening kids' eyes to how we grew up compared to how they grew up. And they say there'll never be a generation like that again. And there won't, because of everything. But that doesn't mean we can't go back. And before I go, just imagine how you're going to feel. Let's see, Elaine, Lori, Hoppy, Bobo, Golden Arrow. Imagine how you're going to feel when you know that eventually we're going to go back to 50 prices. People say, should I go and build my dream house as soon as I get my money? No. If you're not satisfied with your house, fix it up. If you want a new house, go out and get a new house. Because remember, you can always give it away to somebody that needs a house later on when you build your new house. When I talked to Julia, I said, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a house for me and you before you come over here. That's not our permanent house, because then we're going to sit down and we're going to discuss. I said, the only thing that I know I want in my house is I want a bedroom for all 5 of my grandkids. So we're going to need at least 6, but she told me, well, she thinks we should have about an 8-bedroom house, only because what happens if we have a party and someone needs to stay? Well, I'm sure there's going to be sofas and things like that, but I like the way she thought, because see, she's starting to think. And this is a girl that comes, I won't say she's poor, but she's not wealthy. She lives with her mom and her best friend, because together they can live decently. But they don't pay women anything over there. When our president talked about the people dying over there, then it's time we put it into it. If we're playing 5D chess and you're the master of it, it's time that you put it into this. And I'm hoping and praying it does. I'm hoping and praying that this was the beginning, and get in and clean up all these other places and make it to where when we make this transition, girl, hey, Missouri girl, Ralph and Ron, our wonder. Oh, well, thank you, Missouri girl. Thank you very much. You know what? I can't end this show. I can't end this show on a better note than what Missouri girl just said about me and Ron. And we appreciate all the compliments. You know, we really do. But remember, we got a long thing go. People say, well, I'm going to miss the shows. You know what? The shows will change. But the shows may change when we do this. When everything is said and done, we'll meet 2-3 times a week like this. But we'll just do chat. Me, you know, I'll have the opportunity to have my son set me up with something where everybody can talk. You know, if you watch these videos where people are talking and they'll bring people on, they can talk. Well, you know, I'd love to bring Gary and Bobo and Janet on, and you can give instead of talking, you can still chat on the side, but you can talk and give your opinions on things. And, you know, if you have ideas of humanitarian projects, please use them. If you want to work with Ron and me when all this happens, when you go to your thing, say, hey, I really don't have any projects. Or if you do because we'll work them together. We'll all utilize them together. But the more money we can put in to our account, all of us working together, the more good we can do. And we're going to do great. We're going to do amazing things. With that, remember, guys, keep Michael. Please, please, please pray for our friend Michael as I leave you. And wish you a great and happy and joyous weekend with lots of love from Ralph and Ron, Patriot 5 and Patriot 6. We'll talk to you Monday, if not before.